Hold on. I mean, what an experience to be able to do that. Oh, some fire. Ready to go? All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the February Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for the town of Fortville. If you would all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, liberty and justice. All right, thank you very much. Moving right along on the agenda this evening. We've got the oath of office for our new member, Joe Murphy. Andy, will you please walk Joe through his oath of office, please?
Do you want me to do roll call first or after this?
Let's go ahead and do roll call, please. Make sure we're here. Thank you.
Sean?
Here.
Earl?
Here.
Nathan?
Here.
Rick?
Here.
Joe?
Here. Thank you, Andy.
Swear that I will faithfully perform the duties of the position, my appointed position on the Board of Zoning Appeals, and will follow all applicable laws of the state of Indiana, and the town of Fortville, and shall follow the governing rules, policies, and procedures of the BZA. I hereby affirm that I will perform the duties of this public trust in a fair, equitable, and ethical manner. So
Got a little slow there, Dave. That's all right. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Welcome, Joe. Thanks again for your service to the town. In a very short period of time, we've inundated you with town duties, but we very much appreciate it. So thank you very much. Thank you. All right, moving right along. Approval of the meeting agenda for this evening. Adam, before we do that, any changes, modifications to the agenda as presented?
No, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Can I get a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
I move to approve tonight's agenda.
Have a second. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, agenda is approved. Thank you very much. Number 5 on the agenda, we will review and approve the minutes for the January 30th, 2025 meeting. I hope that the board has had a chance to review. Are there any changes, modifications needed to the minutes at this time? All right, hearing nothing, I would look for a motion to approve the January 30th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for 1/30/2025 as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Aye.
All right. Minutes approved. Signed here real quick. All right, moving right along to new business for this evening. We've got one case before us this evening. Case number variance 02/2025 for 738 West Broadway Street, Moondrops Distillery. Before the board tonight is a consideration for a request by Mark Pressley of Moondrops Distillery to allow a development standards variance for construction of a 6,080 square foot storage building without buffer yard plantings, mounding, or fencing. With that, Adam, if you would please take us through the presentation, we'd appreciate it.
All right, thank you. For the record, I'm Adam Zaklikowski, the town's planning and building director. So for this particular request, just to reiterate, the applicant, Mark Pressley, is seeking a development standards variance. It's for a new 6,000 square foot accessory building at Moondrops Distillery, 738 West Broadway. And as Nathan mentioned, he's seeking approval to allow the building without providing the required buffer yard plantings, mounding, or fencing. This building will be a second rick house, which is for the storage of alcohol. The zoning on the property is industrial light, known as IL, and it's within the highway corridor overlay. Should be noted that a setback and buffer yard variance was approved by the BZA in September 2024, as the plan at that time was to enlarge the existing rick house. However, the applicant has decided to abandon that plan and simply do a second rick house. So if we take a look at the aerial photo, the parcel map, you can see the parcel in question. It's on the south side of Broadway, just east of 300 West along US 36, kind of on the west side of Fortville. And if we take a look at the zoning, you can see that it's IL, surrounded by, flanked by commercial neighborhood on both sides. And then there's a bit of commercial neighborhood county, and then there's some R 1.0 in the county as well. So if we take a look at the oblique aerial photo, what you're looking at is, this is the property in question, and we're looking towards the east. And here's the existing rick house that you see. And then simply put, he would like to put another rick house right here. And this was the addition that's no longer being proposed. And if we take a look at the basic site plan that was put together, you can see where it would sit on the property. And if we take a look at the building elevations, you can see that it will more or less match the existing building that's out there today. So more specifically on the variance request, it involves a type 3 buffer yard on the west side and the south side of the lot. So the zoning to the west of the property is commercial neighborhood. And as I mentioned, the zoning to the south is county CN and county R 1.0. So both west and south requires a 25-foot wide type 3 buffer yard, plus a 5-foot accessory structure setback, which means that the building would have to be 30 feet minimum to the eave of the building. So this will exceed the setback requirements. There's no issue there. They'd have it 35 feet from the west, and then it's 88 feet to the south. But however, within each 25-foot buffer yard, you're technically required to have by ordinance 2 evergreen trees plus 2 deciduous trees for every 50 feet of boundary. You're supposed to have shrubs along 50% of the length of the boundary. And then the buffer height is supposed to be 8 feet, and that would be achieved with a mound and a fence. So the applicant desires placement as shown on the site plan with no buffer yard plantings, mounds, or fencing. Should also be noted that in May of 2020, the BZA approved a 23-foot minimum setback along the east property line with no requirement to have trees, shrubs, mounding, or fence. And you can see here this illustration that's taken right out of the zoning ordinance that shows how that buffer yard is supposed to work in relation to the property lines, accessory buildings, and the primary building. In terms of remonstrance, we have not received any opposition letters, emails, or phone calls on the request. And all the public hearing items have been completed. That included a sign posting by the town, a mailing by the applicant, newspaper publication by the applicant. In the mailing, they also included a copy of the site plan and the building elevations. So as you know, the decision criteria for variances per the zoning ordinance, and this is based on Indiana code. We'll go through each of these. First one is general welfare, that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. And my staff opinion is in yellow. You're certainly free to adopt that or vary from it as necessary. But I would say yes, that's been met. There's no issues with that particular test. The second test involves adjacent property, that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. I would say in this case, yes, that's been met. The property to the west is also used for storage. The property to the south is an agricultural field, and there are a few existing trees along or near the south property line. And then in terms of the practical difficulty, would the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance result in a practical difficulty in the use of the property? I'd say yes, that's been met. To meet the requirements of the ordinance, they would end up removing some existing trees on the south side and on the west side. All of the enhanced screening would abut a wooded undeveloped portion of the neighbor's lot. So based on that, I would recommend that you approve the variance. And if you have any questions, the applicant and the contractor are both here. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that presentation. Any questions for Adam before we invite the petitioner to come up? Right, hearing nothing. We've got time in our agenda. If the petitioner would like to come up, if there's anything else you'd like to say on behalf of the case.
The picture that I'm handing out right now, the one that I showed you guys in September. I will also add that Jeff is the gentleman that owns the property to the west of me. I physically called him. Just
Can you jump to the mic, say spell your name, and then just reiterate what you handed out, just for the record? Thank you.
Mark Pressley, Ressley. I am the owner and founder of Moondrops Distillery. In September, I came in and presented doing a storage unit to the side, the east side of my unit, and we quickly realized that wasn't going to be enough. We're growing pretty quickly. We're putting a lot of barrels back, and that's what the second one will be used for also. So temporarily, that storage that I asked for will just go over there, which is just glass. It'll come out, and eventually will be barrel storage for more bourbon. With that said, I did call Jeff next door on the west side. He don't care. He keeps old trailers back there and different things, and this will look much nicer than the property to the west of me. It's being nice. Behind me is a farm field. I'm hoping that something comes in there one day as far as apartments or growth like that, and I'll be very supportive of that, and we'll even, help put in a little walk to go back and forth, because obviously that'll bring business to me. As far as appearance, you can see the picture there. I've been here for about 4 years, and there's nothing I've done that's ever not looked nice. The only hesitation I had with the buffer stuff is there's literally going to be 20 feet between the two buildings, and it's just going to be it would look a little squirrely, to be perfectly honest. This is going to look nice when we're done, and it serves no purpose to put a mound and a fence, and that's the reason I'm standing here. Otherwise, I'll turn it over.
Hello, my name's Chad Abel. I'm the owner of Abel Group LLC. We're the general contractor for the project. We actually built the first rick house, so we're returning to bring that same look to the other side. And I think when Mark and I talked about the idea of adding that buffer where one doesn't exist on the other side, really from an aesthetic standpoint as well, it seems like it makes sense. Just to continue with the same look. And I agree with Mark. Mark's done a nice job out there. I mean, even ahead of us bringing that first rick house, establishing a nice looking business. I'm proud to say, I think we met that with the rick house that we brought in. We intend to do the same thing. Same supplier of material. I'm using the same sub for the vast majority of that project. And then a couple other subs that we brought in just for enhancements that Mark requested for the project. So if you don't have any questions for me.
Okay. Any questions for either Mark or for the general contractor this evening?
I just have one quick one, just clarification. This portion over here that was when we had talked about adding before, is that going to be there, or is that not going to be there?
At this point, we've just already outgrown it before it ever started.
Okay, I just wanted
We started measuring things out
And it would help me for about 6 months. In about a year, I'd be standing here doing what I'm doing anyway right now. So,
Okay.
no, as far as that goes, I mean, even that particular easement, if the town wants it back, and so that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I'd sign off that we didn't need that. I don't see anything ever going on that side now. I'd love to squeeze another rick house in, but there's not enough room.
Okay.
Any other questions? Just real quickly. So is it a symmetrical layout? Same building, just mirrored?
The building one, if you can kind of see the little line on towards the front of it,
Yeah,
that front is a cover and a stage. We do some outdoor stuff.
sure.
There's no need for a second stage there. So it's, as far as I know, it's identical, as the first one, other than no stage on the front of it.
Makes sense.
I'll just add to that we actually took the same drawings from the original building. When I worked with the supplier, all we did was remove that front stage area. So it is exactly the same building.
Okay. Aesthetically, that'll look very nice. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. We have time in our agenda. Do we have anybody on Zoom, outside of our town representation? We do. Okay. We have time in our agenda for public response for or against this case. If anybody would like to do so, either on Zoom or in person.
Yes, this is Florence May. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, and my apologies for not being there in person. I just had a question. I'm not opposed. I would just like clarification to understand how the drainage is being managed for the additional storage.
Drainage for the site. Could you provide your address as well, please, just for the record?
Yes, it's Vernon Township. It's 602 Vitality Drive.
Thank you very much. The
Thank you.
drainage on. If we could have you return just up to the mic so that Florence can hear us as well. It'd be fantastic. Thank you.
The functionality of a rick house, there is no utilities in it, so there's no real need for drainage. We did, if you know the property, when we first built, the building was up. We had to raise the property per requirements, and I'm talking about the front building, and which caused drainage to go down. We put a dry pond in there, and it's had no issues. As far as the actual building, there is no plumbing or anything going to them. So the only thing you'd worry about is ground, and there's a dry pond in there now.
Okay. Do we know, is that dry pond cover this increase in impermeable?
It goes all the way across. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what we can do is, thanks, Flory, for bringing that up. Obviously, with the size of the building, it's larger than your typical accessory structure. So we can definitely, and we should run this by the county surveyor as part of the plan review, just to make sure that that the drainage and storage system that was already designed and is installed on the property can handle what's there. Given the size of the property, I wouldn't anticipate there being any issues, but that is a good point, and we should check that out.
Just a good check.
With as much as I keep back there, if there is a drain problem, I'll be the first to take care of it.
Sure.
My reason for asking is because we've been advised that adding anything in the 18 acres to the west of our property will require additional drainage by the county surveyor. And so when we saw the sign go up, we did not receive a notice, but one of my employees saw the sign and we were like, oh, wait a minute. And when we saw the size of the building, that seemed in conflict with what we had been told by the county surveyor.
I'm not going to speak to the whole engineering side of things, but when I put in the front building, I put in several $100,000 of drainage in it, and so I assume that's what would cover that. Is what Adam's probably referring to also. That there's a significant amount of money invested in drainage.
Sure. Okay. I think just a good check is we'll do the plan
Thank you.
review. Check that
Thank you.
box.
Yes, we have no opposition. I just want to make sure that we are downstream. And again, we've had flooding up on our property. And because there is additional building at STS, we just want to make sure that we don't end up with an additional problem. And we just all want to be good neighbors.
No, absolutely. Appreciate you bring that up for us this evening. We will note it and incorporate in the plan review process.
Thank you.
Adam, that does not need to be added as a condition, right? That'll just be
No,
taken care of as a part of.
correct. I've made note of it.
Okay. All right. I don't think anybody else was on. We just had the one person. We do have time in our agenda for government officials. If you have anything to say on the project. No? Shaking. All right. Easy peasy. I like it. All right. Petitioner has come back up. Are there any other questions for the petitioner or for Adam at this time? All right. Well, in that case, I would look for a motion to approve with conditions, or deny the variance request for the buffer yards to the west and south without the plantings, mounding, or fencing.
I'll move to approve the variance to 2025 as presented.
All right. Do I have a second? All right. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. I think that was 5-0, Andy. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing what you all.
Construction. When are you hoping for construction?
Excellent. Do we have?
that signal?
Yep.
No, that's okay. Well, I don't know. We have to keep everybody here. We can probably go ahead and adjourn and just finish filing our paperwork. Any board comments before we adjourn this evening? All right. I appreciate everybody's time this evening. I would look for a motion for adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn tonight's meeting. Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting adjourned at 6:52. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Jacob. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Adam.
No, I will. Could,
Yeah. You know. Been in front of a bunch of BZAs before and as well.
yeah, how does the stormwater flow today on the site? So it goes towards the sides? And then were there drains that are on the sides? Okay. Yeah. Right. Right. Okay. Yeah, the next step is there'll be 3 people that review the permit request that Chad has already submitted. So I'll review it for planning and zoning. Actually 4. I'll review it. Jerry will review it if he hasn't already, our building inspector. Josh, the fire marshal, and then the county surveyor to make sure that just to verify that you have enough storage capacity on site for the additional runoff. Like I said, I don't anticipate there being any problem. I hope there isn't. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, and usually when they, you know,